see her rolling up, Uber black Cadillac, high heel boots and a sexy...
The Motogp paddock was once again in an uproar. In a closed test session that had initially proceeded normally, the atmosphere changed drastically when one name once again captured everyone's attention: Toprak Razgatlioglu. It wasn't just his top speed, nor the time on the monitor, but rather a maneuver considered impossible, even for a rider of Marquez's caliber. Eyewitnesses on the track reported that Toprak braked extremely hard in an area traditionally considered a safe zone for braking. Surprisingly, however, his Yamaha V4 didn't swerve, didn't lose grip, and remained stable as he entered the corner. Instead, the bike turned sharply at a lean angle that was almost beyond modern MotoGP practice. Marquez, who was in the pit lane at the time, was seen staring at the monitor data. His expression changed. A few seconds later, he simply shook his head slowly. For Marquez, a rider known for his aggressive and risk-taking style, what Toprak did wasn't just daring, but strange and difficult to explain technically. The maneuver occurred on corner entry, an area that has been Toprak's primary weapon since the superbike era. But this time, he did it in MotoGP, on the world's most sensitive prototype motorcycle. The combination of super late braking, extreme front tire pressure, and sudden changes of direction caused Yamaha's telemetry data to show unusual numbers. Yamaha engineers themselves pondered what they saw. The data was reset several times due to perceived errors. However, after comparing it with onboard and GPS, the results were the same. Toprak had actually done it. Not once, but repeatedly. To make matters even more heated, his sector record in that area was actually faster than the benchmark for experienced MotoGP riders. This meant that the magical maneuver wasn't just a reckless stunt, but provided a real advantage in lap time. In the paddock, whispers began to emerge. Many were saying Toprak's style could pose a serious threat to the 2026 MotoGP riding style. If this technique could be replicated, or at least understood, then the competitive landscape could completely change. However, so far, only Toprak has been able to pull it off. Marquez himself reportedly requested additional data from his team to understand what happened. A strong signal that the maneuver wasn't a gimmick, but something even the 8-time champion considered important and dangerous. And here's the full story. Something even the 8-time champion considered important and dangerous. And here's the full story. The 2026 MotoGP season once again delivered a story that shook the paddock. It wasn't about the top speed record, nor was it a duel on the official racetrack, but rather a behind-the-scenes moment that is now a serious topic of conversation among riders, engineers, and team managers. In the midst of a closed-door test session, which took place without the spotlight of the main cameras, Toprak Razgatlioglu pulled off a maneuver that has been called the most implausible maneuver in the modern MotoGP era. Initially, the test session proceeded as usual. Riders focused on long runs, race pace simulations, and aerodynamic data collection. But everything changed when Toprak began to increase his rhythm. For the first few laps, nothing seemed out of the ordinary. His times were competitive, but not yet surprising. Then, in one of the tough corners, a notoriously risky braking point, Toprak did something that made many jump out of their seats. He braked much later than the typical MotoGP benchmark. The braking distances typical of other riders seemed to be ignored. The front tire of the Yamaha V4 was pushed to its extreme limit, the rear of the bike swung slightly, but instead of losing control, the bike changed direction with near-perfect precision. The angle of the turn was so sharp, it was as if the laws of physics were being renegotiated. In the pit lane, Marquez watched the moment on the data monitor. His expression immediately changed. Marquez is not a rider easily startled. He thrives on extreme style and an instinct for attack. But what he saw this time left him speechless for longer than usual. Some around him said Marquez even asked the crew again, "Whose lap was that?" A rare reaction from a rider with his level of confidence. The maneuver didn't happen once. Toprak repeated it on the next lap, then again with a slight variation in the entry angle. The result was the same. The bike was stable, the corner exit was clean, and the exit speed actually increased. Yamaha telemetry data showed front tire pressure and braking angles that were outside the normal MotoGP range. Yamaha engineers even thought there was a sensor problem. But after further checks, onboard, GPS and high-speed video, everything confirmed one thing: the maneuver was real. Toprak had truly transferred his signature superbike style to MotoGP, without compromise, without half-hearted adjustments. What made the situation even more serious was that Toprak's lap times in that area were faster than those of several experienced MotoGP riders participating in the test. This meant this wasn't just a risky stunt, but a real performance advantage. In the world of MotoGP, a discovery like this could be a deadly weapon. In the paddock, the atmosphere began to change. Several rival team crews were seen approaching the Yamaha area, trying to steal information. Technical discussions became more intense than usual. Many began to realize that Toprak's style wasn't just different, but had the potential to disrupt the established MotoGP riding techniques. Marquez himself reportedly requested comparative data from his team. This was an important signal. If Marquez, the icon of MotoGP's aggressiveness, was starting to study the maneuvers of other riders, it meant he saw a real threat. Not a threat in the future, but one that could emerge as soon as the 2026 season begins. The question now was no longer whether Toprak could be fast in MotoGP, but how well this magical maneuver could withstand the pressure of a real race. When tires were degraded, fuel tanks were full, and the duels were wheel-to-wheel. But one thing was certain: MotoGP 2026 would not be the same. If Toprak can perfect and lock in this technique, then his rivals, including Marquez, must be ready for a new era. An era where braking limits, lean angles and riding logic are rewritten by one rider, who dares to hit the impossible zone. Today's private test was truly a pivotal moment in the Yamaha V4 project, heading into MotoGP in 2026. Toprak Razgatlioglu's name was once again in the spotlight after the test results showed a surge in performance deemed unusual by those within the Yamaha garage. The main focus of this test was the use of the new chassis, and the impact was immediately felt in Toprak's lap times. From the first run, the difference in the bike's character was clearly visible. The Yamaha V4 with the new chassis felt more stable when Toprak entered corners with a very late braking style, a characteristic that has made him feared in World SBK. While Yamaha previously struggled to maintain composure under extreme deceleration, this problem has now been alleviated. The bike no longer sways easily, and the front end feels more grippy on the asphalt. Time attack data showed a significant increase in lap times, but what really impressed the engineering team was the consistency. Toprak was able to set fast times repeatedly, without a drastic drop in performance. This strongly indicated that the new chassis is not only fast over a single lap, but also more adaptable to long race simulations. Technically, Toprak looked significantly more aggressive. He could maintain mid-corner speed longer, then exit corners with more refined acceleration. Traction improved, tire spin was reduced, and the V4's power could be transferred more effectively to the asphalt. All of this contributed directly to time savings, especially in areas previously considered Yamaha's weak point. Interestingly, Toprak himself reportedly provided positive feedback regarding the bike's feel. He felt the new chassis provided clearer communication, especially from the front tire. With this confidence, Toprak dared to push the limits further without losing control. Over several laps, his riding style appeared increasingly MotoGP style, while still retaining his aggressive World SBK DNA. Yamaha reportedly recorded a comparison of data before and after using the new chassis, and the results were quite striking. Not only was Toprak faster, but the bike's development direction was now clearer. This chassis is considered capable of bridging the needs of an aggressive rider like Toprak with the highly precise technical demands of MotoGP. Today's private test also demonstrated how Yamaha is starting to find a more balanced package. Straight line speed is still being refined, but time gains now come from corner entry, stability, and corner exit. It's in these areas that Toprak truly maximizes his advantage, making the Yamaha V4 appear far more competitive than it did in the early stages of testing. As Motogp 2026 approaches,
I see her rolling up, Uber black Cadillac, high heel boots and a sexy body full of tats. Baby's bad, oh baby's hella bad. After her there ain't no coming back. Wanna take a run at that. I think she's feeling me, turn it up a few degrees. My imagination of her body gets the best of me. Oh gosh, she's such a tease.